So they decided to appeal to their other aspect, women. Because apparently women just weren't on the docket for the Republicans beforehand, which kind of makes sense. So they're fielding more women candidates for their causes. Part of that refraining some of their messages to women voters, of course, as well. The Iowa polls show that Bradley running as many as 14 points ahead of Ernst among women. That's not bad. So I guess the Republicans are winning in Iowa now. So,
wow, sweet. Yeah, they get this other article. They said, that senator from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, who's right now the minority leader in the Senate, hopes that if the Republicans gain control of the Senate, they already have control of Congress. If they get control of the Senate, he's eyeing that he will be the next head of the caucus out there. If the Republicans take over control of the Senate, he'll take over Harry Reid's job. That Harry Reid's been in there for a while now, and I'd like nothing better than to get Harry Reid the hell out of there. But Mitch McConnell's no piece of. I don't know. I'm not really enamored with that guy either, to be honest with you.
Well, didn't he just win his race as well out there in Kentucky? Didn't that voting already happen last month?
No, we're going to the polls in about a week from tomorrow.
See, and when we did the voting for Thad Cochran out here, this was a few months ago.
That was the primary, yeah. They're in the primary.
You remember me telling you that there was a lot of voter scandal and voter fraud happening in the Chris McDaniels race, right?
Yeah, yes, I remember that.
Yesterday, and it was yesterday, we got the ruling from the court. Maybe it wasn't Sunday. Maybe it was Saturday or Friday. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, we got the message from the court this weekend down here that said that they were not going to be looking into any fraud allegations from Thad Cochran because it was, quote, poppycock. And I think that's a load of shit, I think they should investigate it just because somebody cried voter fraud. But they're not. So, Thad Cochran, 58 years old, going to still be in the Senate for us down here, ruining everything. So,
wow. That's something else, man. Wow. So, there might be a big change in there, but who knows? But like I said, this Mitch McConnell's I don't know. I'm not really enamored with him at all. To me.
You know what they're doing.
Throw them all in the same pot, mix them up, and give them whatever D or an R for Republican, Independent. They're all pretty much of the same ilk, man. I think.
You didn't hear what they did in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky yesterday, anyway, did you? Or no, this was Saturday. I read this. They're buying old World War II antique MP5s for the police department.
Really?
Oh, yeah, and I even went through the laundry list of reasons why it was a horrible idea to buy antiquated weapons when you already have AR-15s that are up to modern technology standard code, Plus, the 225 and the 5.56 don't go through as many, like if you shoot somebody with a 9mm, the bullet goes through, it penetrates through the body most of the time.
Right.
Instead of with the 223 or the 5.56, it kind of fragments as soon as it hits the body. So you got to worry about people downrange behind the criminals that you're shooting.
Yes, right.
So that was a big deal. But they're buying antiquated World War II firearms. Like, what the hell's your problem, buddy?
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's weird. They put a bid in and everything. All right, what else do we got for this morning before we go to our first song?
Well, we were talking about some letters I received from the local union here in this area, Massachusetts Teachers Association, and it's an email they sent out in regards to a situation going on up here in Massachusetts where there's a lady named Martha Coakley who's running for governor of the state of Massachusetts as a Democrat, and against this guy Charlie Baker, who was a Republican. And I guess the unions, the public school unions, are against charter schools every which way you look at it. They don't believe the funding should go to them. They don't believe in some good healthy competition, I guess. And so in this letter I received, it says, I received many angry messages about gubernatorial candidate Martha Coakley's comments suggesting that charter schools should be allowed to open in Brockton and Fitchburg, Massachusetts. So she is for the charter schools, which goes against what the Massachusetts Teachers Association believes in. And they said, despite her statements, while decrying them, we're going to strongly support her over Charlie Baker, her Republican opponent. And, to me, let me see. And she says, continues, I appreciate that members voice their concerns and look forward to continuing conversations about our relationship to recommended candidates in the electoral process. And then she included some articles about the assault on public education that charter schools pose and so forth. And she says, this one is about the assault on public education. This one speaks to some of the choices we make in building a social movement in solidarity and anticipation of many great things ahead. Her name's Barbara, this head of the union. But so essentially they're against charter schools because of the competition factor. And then there's another situation. We got another heated email where they're talking about the state is trying to make a licensure of teachers based on performance in the classroom. All right, how the students are like anybody out there in the regular world. If you're not producing at your job, you're going to get a letter of warning or whatever, and then you're going to be out the door. Whereas with the public education and the teachers having their tenure after essentially 3 years here in Massachusetts,
wow,
short of molesting a child, you're not going to ever lose your job. And so the principals in the buildings, even though they might have some teachers that are not, we all seen the teachers. You get your malingerers out there that just kind of come in and fill up a space and not doing a whole lot to educate the children. But she said, how would you feel about the prospect of losing your license to teach, not just your job based on your evaluation and or your students' test scores? So to me, your boss's evaluations on any kind of job I've ever been on, that's what they base whether you're going to keep your job or you're going to lose your job or you're going to get a raise.
Exactly. Especially if you're not doing your job as a teacher, that means that the kids are not getting educated.
Right. They don't never mention the kids in this letter. They're all about just covering their own ass and looking out for themselves. And it's that's why my last 2 years in there, I resigned from the union. I think I mentioned that to you before. I resigned. I didn't pay my dues anymore, and I caught a lot of flack for it, but I'll tell you, some of the BS that they're involved with the lobbyists they have up on not only the State House here in Massachusetts, but up on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and it's just there's no mention of the students here and what's best for the students. And to me, if you got to get the most highly trained, qualified people into the classrooms, and you got to pay them appropriately, and that's what you got to do, man. In the weaker ones, the ones that ain't cutting the mustard, you got to be able to let them cut them loose. Go try go work at 7-Eleven or something.
See, I never understood exactly why teachers were getting tenure in the first place. That basically takes away any, want for a teacher to, educate these kids. I believe. I maybe I'm wrong about that, but I believe
many get into that. After that 3 years, they get their tenure, and it's like, whew, big sigh of relief. Now I don't have to worry about anything and this and that. And to me, it's a wrong incentive. It's not the way it should work. And others, there are some outstanding teachers out there that are doing great work in the classroom each and every day. And to me, those are the people that should be rewarded, and those are the people we should be recruiting to teach, instead of what we're dealing with now many times in the public schools. It's like And again, going back to the charter schools, which have been very successful in my area, particularly, with the standardized test scores and the teachers that are teaching in those buildings doing great things. And it's a big threat to public educators, as you heard in that letter, that they were very upset that the candidate of their choice is supporting something that, this lady purports to be against. But, it's just that many times the unions are exerting their muscle trying to get people to vote. I all the time I get this stuff, vote for this one, vote for that one. Screw that. I read the letter, but, I'm making up my own mind. I'm not going to go, like a lemming off the edge of the cliff with following the union leader and union, whatever they espouse,
Well, the reason I'm
take a drink of coffee here. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So this new candidate that you're talking about today for the MTA, she's running for your local state Senate, right? Or I'm sorry, for the Senate chair for the House of Representatives, right? I'm losing my mind this morning, I guess. She's running for office, right?
This lady in the union?
Yes.
Well, no, they're talking about a candidate they support, Martha Coakley, who's running for governor of Massachusetts, is for charter schools, and that's their candidate they're supporting, the teachers union. And they were very upset that she, in fact, is open to allowing charter schools because, of course, the public teachers unions are all against charter schools.
See, because it does say I wrote of many angry messages I received about gubernatorial candidate Martha Coakley's comments, suggesting that charter schools should be allowed. Now, how come people are angry that charter schools are being set up there? I'm kind of fuzzy on a little bit of this. I know about the tenure, but why are people angry about trying to set up more charter schools? I thought that was a good form of schooling, right?
Well, they figure it's a direct assault on the public school system because, if there are more charter schools, there'll be less money or funding, they're thinking, for the public schools. And plus, they don't want the charter schools have a little more leniency as far as the way they do things. And, it's competition, man. They're just trying to wipe out competition. They don't believe in any competition. They don't believe in raising the bar.
Hey, when you go against big government, they don't believe in anything that they don't tell you to believe in, So it's come down to the point where now you can see, as in this example, how, well, like you said, the public school, that's federal run. That's not even state run anymore. It's federal. That's why they do the statewide testings, the standardized testing.
Yes.
Yeah, see, they're doing that to figure out if certain schools in what areas, and they say, oh, well, it's for funding. See how, smart the kids are, and if your kids do well, then you don't get as much funding. If your kids are doing crappy, then we give you more money. So what do the teachers do in public schools? They just stop caring. So
yeah, there are too many in that regard.
Because they get more funding from the Fed if the kids are dumb, and that's the most horrible thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's the wrong way around as far as I'm concerned too. I agree with you on that.
All right, let me check the chat room here.
Ass backwards.
Back asswards.
Speaking of states' rights, you're talking about, states controlling, what goes on in their states. Even, we've been talking about the same-sex marriage issue and how a lot of communities have voted against same-sex marriage or calling it marriage, or rather call it civil union, whatever the case might be. But
I'm actually a fan of butt buddies. I think we should just call them butt buddies. Be done with it,
Does anyone have anything to say against these two butt buddies getting married today? If now, forever hold your peace.
We join these two butt buddies together in holy matrimony.
But even Jimmy Carter, former President Carter, who you can't get more liberal than President Carter. I don't know if you remember him back. He was in president 76 to 1980.
Ah, yes, the peanut president.
He even was interviewed recently. October 26th, it says here. That was what, yesterday? What's today, the 27th? Yeah, yesterday. He says legalizing same-sex marriage should be left up to the states rather than mandated by the federal government. He says, I'm kind of inclined to let the states decide individually. And I think that's the way it should be. As you see, more and more states are deciding on gay marriage every year. And if Texas does not want to have gay marriage, then I think that's a right for the Texas people to decide. So I got to agree. One time I can agree with President Carter. I just wanted to point this out. And he says, I don't think the government ought to ever have the right to tell a church to marry people if the church doesn't want to. There's been a lot of controversy over that. I know Jay talked about it on Night Talk last week, that they're making these churches proceed forward and perform these ceremonies, or they're going to sue them.
And the queen the queen of the pumpkin patch in the chat room here says, well, that's another thing they ignored from the Constitution. Anything not put in the Constitution is up to the states to decide. And
Amen. Amen.
So really everything that the federal government is stepping on right now by saying you have to, that's all just a bunch of shit, It's really starting to affect people.
The feds getting involved here. Like on Saturday, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that it will recognize same-sex marriages in 6 new states: Alaska, Arizona, Idaho, North Carolina, West Virginia, and Wyoming, bringing to 32, plus the District of Columbia, where such marriages are legal. Again, like I said, down in Texas, a federal judge ruled last February that a state's constitutional amendment defining marriage between a man and a woman is unconstitutional. but Republican Governor Rick Perry and Attorney General